Welcome to Offset. I'm Larry Richert. One Team Media is our host. We want to thank Brian Hess and his team, Mark Connington, Ryan Jurgen, and from Odyssey Pittsburgh, 5 radio stations. I work for KDKA. Thanks to Michael Spacciapoli, and it's Larry and the Big Man. That's 2-time Stanley Cup champion and Sportsnet hockey analyst Jay Caufield.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. Good to see you. Dave. Also, we want to thank Dave Rourke and the Rourke Automotive Group and Tom Grealish with Henderson Brothers for being title sponsors.
And we are thrilled to have Dave Ricchini here. He is about to travel to spring training, which sounds so good. Gentlemen, being a former television weatherman who is now in the witness protection program, I will share this. This has been the coldest stretch of weather, the worst winter since 1979. The last time the Pirates won a World Series and the Steelers won a Super Bowl, a couple of years after Pitt won the national championship in football. So
awesome.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's going to take a while for that snow to melt with as cold as it's been. As Jay and I want to get on the golf course soon, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Just as long as I'm starting to see the driveway. You know, we take a lot of time. We talked about, do you plow, do you snow, do you shovel, or do you let it melt? What's your option? We talked about that.
That was our offset.
That was an off-topic thing one day. That's right.
All right, let's talk about the Super Bowl, the end of the season for the National Football League. That means Pittsburgh is on the clock. The next big thing is the draft. They got combines in between, but let's start there. Gentlemen, congratulations. We all picked the winner with Seattle.
We did.
Dave is
huge
Seattle Seahawks fan. He posted some pictures. He was there the last time they won. And you look like that was a high school picture.
Yeah, I had a little more hair back then, a little bit darker, a little more energetic, but yeah, it was, it was one of those games where going in, and as Jay would point out, I've doubted Seattle most of the season. Yep. I was way too confident going into that game. I just felt that they matched up well, as I talked last week about the strength of schedule and how the Patriots had the easiest strength of schedule. Seahawks were top 5. It seemed like New England was overmatched from the first drive. And there was never a moment where, as a Seahawks fan, I'm thinking, hey, they may lose control of this game. They were dominant defensively. Sam Darnold didn't have to have his best game. Kenneth Walker was tremendous in a running game. Some big plays there. But yeah, it wasn't the most entertaining game to watch for most fans.
Unless you were a Seahawks.
Unless you're a Seahawks fan. Yes.
I'm rated that as one of my the worst 3 Super Bowls I've seen in quite some time.
In terms of entertainment.
With everything going on. Yeah, right. So, with entertainment, it just wasn't there. And I agree with Dave I thought the first throw that Darnold threw when he's really inside of a tight window, that could have been make or break at that little moment, right. But he gets it through. There wasn't really any doubt either. I think as we all watched it, we were hoping they were not to go against State, but then later you're hoping just to have a better game. But they were very good, in control. I thought Kyle Shanahan was pretty good on TV because he talked about there's only 2 defenses in the NFL that can win a game on themselves, and it was Houston and Seattle, and it was exactly what happened. He was spot on because that's how it played itself out. Look, I think Drake May was. Hey, look, he's under duress too, but it kind of kept his same playoff the way the playoff went for him all year. They got by and they got into the Super Bowl, and that was it. But Seattle, the better team. One.
Was there a particular turning point? You mentioned that first throw and the first drive for Sam Darnold. You're right. He fit that in a very tight window.
Yeah. My turning point, I'm going to go early in the game. It's the right outside linebacker, Hall. One of the first dropbacks for Drake May. He pushed Campbell, who's a number 1 pick out of LSU. He pushed him around all day long, and he set the tone on the first drive. I don't know if you remember the play. I'm looking, if I'm Drake May, you could tell the changed. Hey, look, to being a quarterback and have guys coming at you that are they're mean and then they're arriving angry. That's what Seattle does, right? There's guys that get there, but guys that get there with an attitude. Well, that's Seattle. And I thought when he pushed that lineman back, they had no shot. It was kind of it. My turning point was so early in the game, and I felt it was Hall against the left tackle of New England, and he kind of destroyed him all day long.
Campbell allowed 14 pressures, the left tackle. Yeah. And if you remember back, you mentioned the draft being at Pittsburgh. When they drafted him this year, he said that he's going to die protecting Drake May, and he's been he's been the issue for them. I mean, if you watch games, even in the playoffs, and Seattle players talked about after the game, you bull rush them. You can create that pressure. They were sending guys. They were sending defensive backs. They were sending extra rushers from that side, and he was just overwhelmed. And you could even see it at times. Drake May, I mean, that's his blind side. Drake May's looking over his left shoulder, just anticipating the pressure. So he was a major. And it's funny, it's the exact same play I wrote down, because Seattle gets the ball to start, go down and kick a field goal, and then New England, the first 5 plays, they moved the ball. They crossed midfield. They were at Seattle 45. And then 1st and 10, he gets sacked for 10 yards. And it just kind of set up the rest of the game in my mind. That was my turning point.
Yeah.
So the turning point again for you.
The Derek, same as Jay.
Same
The Derek Hall sack.
My turning point was kickoff. You just had the sense once Seattle went down and at least got a field goal, to your point, they never seemed out of control the rest of the way. Now, it was tight. It could have gone either way if New England could have found a way. But that defense, the dark, what do they call them? The
dark side.
Dark side, yeah. Like from Star Wars. They were smart. They made Drake May look like he was way below average as a quarterback, and he's not. He's going to be successful for a long time. But, man.
I got to say, you wonder, with all the research, all the scouting stuff. Now, look, Campbell might end up being a great left tackle. I don't know. But with everything you do before you make a number 1 pick, and it's all year long has been a weak point for them. They got by and they won, so it wasn't you could get by. But when you get exposed against good, look, teams are building with outside edge rushers, and if you can't stop, if you can't even give your quarterback any time, you can't win. And it literally blew up. Whether Drake May, he's on a little bit of slide through the playoffs anyway. He wasn't playing the way we saw him earlier in the year, but could have been because of the pressure and the better defenses they're facing. I'm always surprised. I give with all the research, everything they do, all the research, and your number 1 pick is a guy that had no shot against the outside, who's a 2nd round pick who came over, by the way, and Russell Wilson won them, helped you guys win a Super Bowl. The picks that they got out of that deal are unbelievable. And they're all over the stat sheet, if you will. So for me, Larry, I thought I always wonder about that. You wonder, how does a guy go back to Dan Marino? What makes somebody not be? What are they looking at? What are they thinking about? To me, if I'm New England, that's a big sour spot for there.
All right, and Dave, in addition, with our picks for the Super Bowl, we all picked Seattle. We all picked more than 5
Did you have the
points.
closest score? What was your score?
No, Dave, 30-13.
Ooh.
So he was only 1 point off. Jay, you had 24-14, still pretty close.
Not as close, but close, Jay. Good job.
Dave, we're just happy. It was your day. It was your day totally.
I had 31-21, but we all beat the spread and picked the Seahawks. So congratulations to you. Let's talk about some prop bets. So straight up, it ended up being 5 points given New England. But some of these prop bets, did you make any or just highlight those? Because you gave us a whole list.
Yeah, I didn't make any. I was helping my neighbor with some of his. And some of the guys that I told him barely even played, so he wasn't real happy with me. I thought Elijah Rojo, their backup tight end, would be in a game plan somewhat. I thought George Halani would have a decent game as a backup running back. But yeah, it's one of those things where you look at it and, Jackson Smith and Jigba was, the best receiver in all of football the entire season, and he was held in check. And then, they missed him early, Jay, as you pointed out before the show, on that long pass. But, it's one of those games where you're watching and, Kenneth Walker just controlled it, and they just kept feeding him. So there was, I think, a lot of people, that made the prop bets were probably upset because, K9 kind of controlled everything and limited what some of the other guys did. But in our picks, we had the
By the way, you see Dave's on a nickname basis with the Seahawks. He called Kenny Walker K9.
But I said Jackson Smith and Jim.
No,
I didn't say JSN or Jax as they call
But you did call Kenneth Walker K9. So I just want to make sure, when you're a Seahawks fan, that's what you get. You get the nicknames thrown out. So very good, Dave. No, we're letting you have your space because you had a good day.
It's pretty rare for a running back to be the MVP in a Super Bowl. I think the first was Franco Harris. And there maybe was only...
There was another... Showed it last night. I can't remember who...
But there were only 2, right? Before...
Yeah, there wasn't...
Walker.
Yeah.
Or what do you call him?
K9.
Yeah.
I
That's a
got
good.
you.
That's a good nickname. Though. That's kind
I
of.
like it.
He worked.
And he was well deserved. Yeah, he was a well deserved. It was a.
You know what? He
great
seems. I thought he handled himself post game.
did.
You know, it's just the right tone.
He's
Pretty
gonna be a
excited.
free agent.
So by the way,
What a game to have as you enter free agency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why the owners. Is he selling? Are they still selling? They're still selling the Seahawks.
They will, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Good time to sell too. Coming
So
up.
by the way, what were our prop bets that we had? We don't want to be chasing money early. The coin toss is a tough one. If you lose it early, you're like, really? Did I lose that? Or how long is the national anthem? But we did do the coin toss, did we not?
So we had coin toss, first scoring play, longest TD scored, Sam Darnold's passing yards, Drake May passing yards, JSN receiving yards, and Ramondre Stevenson. And Larry, you and Jay start out 1-0, both nailed the coin toss, but unfortunately, that was about the highlight of your picks. So both you, Larry, and Jay were 3 and 4.
Yeah.
You got the coin toss right. Larry, you also got Jackson Smith and Jigba's under, and Ramondre Stevens under. So you were 3 and 4. Not too bad, just below 500.
Nice, Dave.
Jay also 3 and 4. You got the coin toss, the first scoring play, and the longest TD, which was that defensive touchdown that got over.
Yep.
You missed the other ones, so you're
did.
3 and 4. And then I'm 5 and 2, huh? So I missed the coin toss, but rebounded by getting 5 of the next 6.
Well, why didn't you tell
correct.
your neighbors those picks? Because your neighbors aren't happy with you right now.
They are. They are.
It's so I had so if anybody else was doing prop bets, so I had it's kind of funny. They showed the Gatorade last night, what color it was. It's kind of entertaining, right? So, but I did have one. I had who's going to have more passing yards, Darnold or May? Well, for 3/4 of the game, then you knew they were shutting it down. How it was going to go. Darnold was right around 200, and then Drake May. Prevent defense. It cost all of us. So anybody who bet the prop bet that one, you lost because Drake May ended up with the more yards. But in full control, if you're looking at the game, and then Kenneth Walker kind of flipped it on that. But again, there's so many ways that you can go. But they were good.
Well,
they were good bets.
The anthem, a lot of the apps that you can use here, you can't bet the anthem. And I remember back, this was a couple years ago, but I had a buddy that was working the Super Bowl back in the replay.
So he knew in rehearsal.
Exactly. They rehearse it, and you can get a time on it. So I think a lot of the sports books take that off because there's that in the Gatorade too. Because if you're on the staff, okay, hey, our guys like green Gatorade,
I'll put
orange.
$2 million on the Gatorade
exactly.
color.
But by the way, the national anthem one was always one like, does it start on the music or does it start on the first note that she said, or the first syllable, anything out of her mouth or the guy's mouth? When does it start?
Charlie Puth started with a little
Yeah, I did.
intro.
Yeah, so does it start?
Normally
Start
it
the
starts
watch.
cold.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But yeah.
The flyover was phenomenal. I will say that.
That was awesome.
That was really good too. Yeah, yeah. So good. Congrats again, Dave. Good. Congrats.
What are you going to do to celebrate?
I'm going to Arizona next week,
All right.
getting out of the cold.
Be careful. There's cactus out there. There's all kind of snakes and stuff
It's fine.
and scorpions in your room, but just don't put that out of your mind.
Still beats us
We're
well.
excited for you. All right. Time for the blind side. Explain.
The blind side is something that kind of sours you throughout the week, or something that makes you see in something we've always had. Now, the blind side more is like we've talked about refs in football. It's about bad calls. Well, there really wasn't. I didn't see anything in the game that would make you, because it didn't even matter at some point. It really wasn't anything. So they did a good job. I'm going to flip to the hockey world and go during the week when Boston Bruins were playing the Florida Panthers, right? In Florida, right? So they're down there. And there was a hit at center ice on Charlie McAvoy. He broke his jaw early in the year took a puck to the face, broke his jaw, coming back wearing a full visor. That doesn't mean, and my point about this is he takes a big hit, and it was from Sandis Valmanas, right? So with Florida, they call him up, a big forward who's in the Olympics too, by the way, and U.S. is playing them pretty quickly. But he takes a run at McAvoy at center ice. And when you watch it, even game motion, I was surprised how the announcers were. They gave him just an elbowing penalty or 2 minutes for rough, whatever it might have been. It was a full-fledged, it should have been a 5-minute major, should have been gone, should have been suspended. And Charlie McAvoy got hit in the head on the same side of the face that he took the puck. Now, you don't have to feel bad for the player. You have to play the guy the same way. It doesn't matter where he's hurt or coming back. That point I get. But the idea that they gave him just a 2-minute minor and you could have put him out and he would have missed the Olympics too for the U.S. team. I find it unbelievable, again, on the disciplinary side of the NHL that he didn't get suspended, nothing. We go back to the Brian Russ thing getting suspended and what that was about. To me, that was egregious. You could see it, and even the announcers, I was shocked that the announcers weren't all over it a little bit more during the game, But when you watch it, you watch in slow motion. Someday it'd be nice if we had clips where we can show you what we're talking about. But to me, the disciplinary department of the NHL, it's a joke. And they get paid nice money to do it. And to me, it was a joke. That should have been a 5-minute major out of the game. And if you're going to suspend Brian Rust for what he did, that guy needs to go too.
David, do you have
Jay's first point about the officiating in the Super Bowl. I thought it was a
clean
clean game. Only 7 penalties.
Game in the entire playoffs, I thought.
Yeah. And I give they weren't a story because the refs were not a story. And that's
Good.
That's how it should be for those big games.
Yep. Good job. By the way, you knew he was outstanding. That Gonzalez, I'll say real quick. That Gonzalez, the D-back for New England. Yeah,
he's solidified. He's
real deal there.
He kept it from being out of control early.
Yep. Should have
got out of control late.
Maybe could
have blocked something.
Hey, and by the way, I'm making a point about it because what you got to go through to get drafted number one, and the degree of how they tear you apart, or what they want to find in you, and you still make a move on a guy that whatever. I'm beating a dead horse on that one, but if I was a New England fan, if you were a New England fan, you'd have to really sit there. We know how hard we are on anything that gets beat. If lineman gets beat, the blind side especially. To me, I find it amazing.
I saw a good meme this morning, drawing from the Moneyball movie. Whenever he was like, I forget the actor, but he goes in and is talking to Billy Bean, the GM, and saying, hey, great news, he's got everything, but he stinks. They was talking about Will Campbell, saying that, hey, he's prototypical size, he's a top 5 pick. Only problem, Billy, he can't play left tackle.
True. Yeah.
All right. That said, offsets, bad beats. Well, you kind of touched on it, Jay.
I got two for you.
I had a couple too.
Two for you. So I will say, first off, the over/under for the game was 45, and 12 points scored total in the first 3 quarters. So if you have the under, you're thinking, okay,
I'm good.
This is easy. It's a no sweat. Then you get 30 points scored in the 4th quarter. So then you're starting to sweat. So if you have the under, you're starting to sweat.
Yeah.
If you have the over, you're thinking, hey, I got a chance here. Just over 2 minutes left. K9, which is my nickname for Kenneth Walker, breaks through for the 49-yard touchdown. Holding call, coming back. That would have sent it over.
Yeah.
And I'll go another, with all these prop bets, you can bet anytime touchdown. So as good of a game as Walker played, no touchdowns up to that point. So I'm sure there were guys or girls out there that had the anytime touchdown for Walker, and that was pulled off the board. So that was one, and I'll go one more. Sam Darnold. His rushing total for the game was 6.5 yards. Early in the 3rd quarter, he scrambles for 11 yards. So again, you're thinking, okay, they're up, even if some kneel downs, because we had that situation. This was back the Kansas City, San Francisco Super Bowl, when Patrick Mahomes he was over his rushing, and then it was insane. He took like a 20-yard loss in his next 3 kneel downs to go under. So Sam Darnold, 11 yards, pretty good wiggle room there. The play before the Walker touchdown called back, he goes to hand it off to Walker, and Walker goes the other way. He takes a 6-yard loss. He's back down to 5 yards, and that's how he ended off. So if you had Sam Darnold's over rushing, that one play cost it for you.
That's interesting because a lot of people might not factor in even, taking a knee. You're going to lose off that total if it's close.
So I got one a little different. It wasn't on the books. This is if you're doing a block pull. You're doing a block pull, and you know how much money you can be in some block pulls, and then you could do a family one or whatever. We also did a family one, like everybody around, and if you go, it's 29-13, right? So, but it was 29-7, and New England scores, so to make it 29-13. Now you can do the victory dance if you have 9-4, right? Because you're thinking they're just going to kick an extra point. No. Then you see going for 2. So now the 9-5 guy comes into play, but so does the 9-3, which I happen to have 9-3, by the way. So I had 9-3. So in a couple plays, 9-3. Now you're hoping, okay, now you need a stop. You get a stop. I'm the winner. The 5's the loser. And the 4, who's doing the victory dance, like literally think he's going to come out and kick the extra point, gets beat. Now I'm saying it because there are some big-time block pulls out there. Truly. Right? Big money. The money that flipped on them going for 2 and not getting it was, we probably could hear the screams yelling from all over the country at given times because the dang 2-point conversion crushes so many people in so many games. But that's in a block pull world. A little different.
It's a good one.
I like
Congrats
that one.
on your win.
Yeah, it's a big win. Big win. I shared it to the chef, Felicia. She did all the cooking, so
Well, there
winnings
was a
went that way.
prop bet that people probably overlooked. Will there be a streaker on the field? This did not appear during the broadcast. They don't cover it typically. When I was at Reliant Stadium in Houston, it was the Panthers and the Patriots in that Super Bowl. And that was the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake wardrobe malfunction.
Right.
Where it flashed her nipple. And I'm sitting there, and I hardly saw it, so I didn't know what the big deal was. CBS ended up, by the way, getting fined $500,000 for that. But what people didn't see was as the second half was beginning, a guy dressed like a ref had a pull-off, and he pulled off his uniform. This is right before kickoff. You're not seeing this. They didn't quite come back from commercial, and he's got half of one of those plastic footballs strategically taped with clear tape, and he starts running. And Willie McGinnis, remember Willie, the big linebacker, gives him a forearm shiver, and they carry the guy out like on a pole, like you would see in those old Tarzan movies. And I actually interviewed him a few days later. He was a serial streaker who even streaked the Queen of England at one point, but you didn't see that. And you didn't see at the Super Bowl Sunday night, a guy did that same kind of scenario, but he wasn't naked. So I don't know if you could, if you had the prop bet that a streaker would come onto the field, he was topless, but he had pants on. So I don't know, would that be
maybe they can't go that path because, like you said, then everybody, if you have a group, go, hey, if you're gonna streak, then we'll do that. And I saw the takedown too.
Did you?
Yeah, I saw it.
I forget which Patriot.
It was number 18. I'm trying to think who's 18.
D-back. He started to go after him, and then the guy slid like he was a quarterback, taking a slide, and then the security team.
Well, remember that story with James Harrison and a fan that James Harrison tackled?
Oh yeah,
and they became
body
like
slam.
They had a friendship then. Like there was a recent story about.
Yeah, they got together after all this time.
Yeah,
you never know,
Crazy.
right?
So my daughter's boyfriend was over the house, and he had a bet. Was Mark Wahlberg in the house? Spotted in the house. It was a bet that they had. So I'm going. I looked. Then the one point, if you have Mark, if he said no, you're going. They have to show him on TV. I didn't see him. So when he starts showing the celebrities in the stands, that's when you're going. Oh, well, Wahlberg's got to be there. It's New England, but they never showed him. So
I saw John Bon Jovi.
It did.
He's buddies with Kraft, the owner, and then I saw Jeff Goldblum, who's from Pittsburgh, and a bunch of celebrities.
Still, you mentioned some too, and we talked about this last week, but the Belichick and Kraft thing not getting in that Hall of Fame thing, we'll go back and say that again. We'll cover that as we move forward, but that you don't have the Bill Belichick more than anything. I mean, I don't understand somebody, and I think who it was Randy Moss. I said it to you guys. Randy Moss hey, if you didn't play the game, didn't coach the game, you shouldn't be allowed to vote on who gets in. Because I think a lot of Hall of Famers have a problem. I touched on that before. I think a lot of guys have problems with some guys that get in because they think, are they really worthy? Are they the elite? Are they the elite?
Why should reporters pick?
I don't get. I mean, and nothing against reporters, whatever, they do their job.
Yeah,
I agree with. It should be your peers. It should be. That's what has more weight than anything. So yeah,
but they should have a second category for, coaches and ownership.
Yeah,
away from the players. Keep the players
separate, pure
in that regard. And I agree, they should have former players making that decision.
Yep.
Not some guy that's never stepped on a field or
doesn't. Yeah, I know. I mean, I feel the same way.
All right. So who is our original Yinzer Dog of the week? Is it the MVP?
Can we go off board? Can we go off the board?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Avery Hayes of the Penguins because, I'm going to go with that. So, and I loved it. If I would have done a Yinzer Dog specifically for the Super Bowl, it would be K9.
Thanks, Jay.
You're welcome, Dave. It'd have been Walker because he was that good. But for me, I'm going with that Avery Hayes. What a first game. And it wasn't like he created the opportunities. He made it happen. He could have had 3 or 4. But congratulations to him.
He got 2 goals, and then he went back to the minors while the team's off, and he got a game winner in overtime.
Yeah. By the way, Larry, if we send what's in a Yinzer Dog tailgate package?
I'm glad you asked, Jay.
Larry?
You get a tailgate package, original Yinzer Dogs, Stanley P. Kachowski, Kobasi, Babushka Mama Pierogies, and Yinzer Halushki. And we got one going to Mike McCarthy.
So we have to get that package up and send it down to Wilkes-Barre.
Wait.
Boys
So
in
I'm
the locker-
going to vote?
No.
We're just going with Jays?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Are we here, Larry, or are we just is it Jays?
He
Man,
Sorry, Dave.
he
I know.
came on strong on that one.
I did.
What-
I will say we're in sync today. I have Avery Hayes too. Couple's notes. I mean, just the fact that he found out like basically that morning because Raquel gets hurt and Achari was sick that morning, right?
Yep.
So he gets called up. His family's there. 7th player in NHL history to score multiple goals in the first period of their debut. 3rd player in Penguins history, joining Jake Gensel and Rob Brown to score multiple times in their NHL debut.
That was so fun just
awesome.
to see that young guy. And hey, the Sabres were streaking,
They were.
you know, and
They were.
you're in their building, and this is it for the break. It was a nice way to cap it, and good for him. I think we'll hear from him down the road.
So it's a reason why guys never want to step out of the lineup. Never.
Right?
You never
Because
want to
somebody
step out of the
comes
lineup.
in, yeah.
And it's not saying there wasn't all the right reasons for guys to be out of the lineup, but it's why, what is it? You don't want to get Wally pipped, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be, Dave, explain my
Same
comment
thing in
about
our
Wally
business.
pipped, what that was about.
Wally pipped was, I forget, was it Roger Maris with the Yankees?
Yep.
That Pip
Yep.
got injured, and I think it was Maris stepped in for him and
Never
never
stepped out.
It's like Ben Roethlisberger with Tommy Maddox.
Yeah.
happened with me my senior year high school. Went out for baseball after basketball season ended. Like I had took a couple years off from baseball, wanted to get back, and I just wanted to pitch. I just wanted to be a pitcher, and I was a backup first baseman. And for a couple games in, our starting first baseman had detention. He missed a game. I came in, stepped in, and up hitting over 500 that year.
The rest is history.
Rest is history.
The rest-
Here I am now with you guys.
But no, it's a real true.
Well,
it's pretty big.
In
That's
my
right, Dave.
business, there have been many times where you go on vacation. When you come back, they changed your shift or changed you. That's happened. Yeah. So you have that, don't want to get out of the lineup.
Yeah, because somebody gets put on the map, and that guy got. I mean, even though they knew, they're watching them. They're doing such a great job with their personnel, and the department that handles that. They knew he's already on the radar, but then you do it at the NHL level in a big game that mattered, and now it's wild how it plays itself out. It just is.
Look
It's
how
Lou
Kurt
Gehrig,
Warner-
by the way.
Oh, Lou Gehrig, not Roger.
Courtesy of Mark Connington,
Thank
our
you. Yeah, yes.
producer here. All right,
Well,
before
that
we
would have been a bad man. Good catch.
Before we check it out, I had a chance. We had multiple TVs. I was watching the Olympics. I was watching the pregame up until then we switched to the big TV for football. But we had another TV set up for the TPC Waste Management. Speaking of Arizona, how about the finish to that?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I watched a lot of it on Thursday, and first off, I will say that I enjoyed watching Scotty Scheffler struggle because it made it. Hey, I can do that. I can leave a chip short, and to see the frustration, and he rebounded. I don't know where he finished, but he was going into play on Sunday. He was still top 10. But yeah, Goddard gets the win. I feel bad for Matsuyama, but and I know Jay, you're going to touch on kind of the scene there.
Yeah,
at 16. I like it, but when you're starting to say stuff in backswings and when they're standing over putts, it still has to be, it's still golf.
They need polls where they can tase people and you zap a few people out, and that will take care of that.
You don't have to be stupid. You don't have to be stupid with the players. I mean, but the scene of it is, see, the players, they don't get that like NHL, NBA, NFL, everything that goes on in other sports because it's different, right? So, but the scene of it, it's unbelievable. Over 20,000 people around that 16th tee box to green. How they built the grandstands, it's awesome looking. But when you get, for some reason, there's always going to be somebody stupid out there that's doing it. And that's, I agree with that part. It kind of takes away from, what we're thinking about and what that 16th green can be about. When you let it get out of hand like that, it's kind of on the PGA Tour and whoever they handle it, right? It has to be, because golf is different. It's just a different sport.
Well, like Forrest Gump said, stupid is, stupid does.
By the way, one of the greatest things on that 16th hole, though, was when you went back, it was 2019, right? So when you go, but Gary Willem, when he brings out the young lady who with Down syndrome, right? But she's accomplished. She played golf. She with help and everything like that. She's accomplished. And when he brought her out there and how wonderful he was, and with her, it made that story even so much better. But she hits it in the bunker. I mean, into the bunker off the tee. but a great swing and up and down out of the bunker she did. I think that's should always be one of the better sports moments and what players mean to the fan base and everything. And that's pretty special with Gary Woodland. So
Agreed.
Yep.
Well, again, congrats to Dave Ricchini, our Nostradamus to the numbers Seahawks fan extraordinaire.
Thanks,
And we want to thank One Team Media's Brian Hess, the mastermind, Mark Coddington, Ryan Jurgen producing, and Odyssey Pittsburgh, Michael Spacciapoli.
Also, Dave Rourke with the Rourke Automotive Group. Lifetime state inspections, lifetime oil changes, lifetime engine warranties. They do a phenomenal job. Thanks so much, Dave. And also Tom Grillish with Henderson Brothers. And Larry, you have just a little bit more to add about that.
Experience the power of partnership with HendersonBrothers.com. Thank you, Tom. We appreciate it. Safe travels, Dave.
Thank you.
Spring training. He'll come back with a tan, but he'll be with us remotely if we must. That's this edition of Offset, and that's a wrap.